Welcome back to the Tongue of the Trees. I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer, and this is what is Spikenard medicine good for. In the event that brought me to write the Spikenard medicine was I had something happen to me, witnessed something that scared the living daylights out of me. I had been shocked to the core, and I genuinely thought my life must change because I couldn't go back to the place where I had seen this happen. I couldn't see the person that had been involved in it. Everything. My identity was in danger of being fractured. Social workers were involved, psychiatrists were involved, and it was beyond awful. And I was so scared, so traumatized, that I thought this is a Spikenard situation just to calm me down and help me sleep. So I put 3 drops in my bath, and the next morning I could face it all again. The fear has just gone, and I genuinely couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. The difference. I am and it can be exaggerative with my emotions. I'm a Cancerian, but things don't usually scare me, but this did. And I genuinely didn't think that I could go back there. And the next day I did. And I wasn't really scared. So that fascinated me. How can an oil, what is it about that oil that is so remarkable? And so I embarked on the journey down the Spikenard rabbit hole. Many archaeological rabbit holes, but a really fascinating journey. I would recommend you read that book, obviously, but yeah. But so that is the emotional medicine. Fear, trauma, shock, things that rock your very existence. One of the things that we see in the Bible is in the Old Testament, when God speaks to Moses and he talks about what he wants him to do to build the tabernacle, and he gives him a recipe for the sacred incense, and Spikenard is in that. We see it come up in ancient Egyptian medicine. If you look at the cover of my book, beautifully painted by my illustrator Robert Elsmore, he has painted the phoenix. The phoenix's nest was believed to be made from frankincense and spikenard. We see this idea of the phoenix resurrecting right through all of the different religions. We see this idea of things coming back, being resurrected. Imagine Mary washing, anointing his feet with the spikenard. The Gnostic Gospels and the Apocrypha tell us that after he was buried, after he was crucified, the 3 Marys and Joseph Arimathea bathed his body, anointed it with spikenard and myrrh, placed it in the tomb. Another apocryphal gospel tells us how the story of his circumcision and how his foreskin was preserved in Spikenard. There's a funny story that amused me somewhat. When my in-laws live in France, and there is the most remarkable abbey, and not far from where they live, which is a ruin now, but still remarkable to see. And my mother-in-law was able to say to me, it's a place where pilgrims come. And I said, well, why? Well, I don't know. French wasn't good enough to be able to look it up. And I had discovered that the foreskin of Christ was deemed to be quite the relic in the 15th century. And it was a bit like something from Monty Python. I've got it. No, we've got it. No, we've got it. No, we've got it. No, we've got it. All of these monasteries and abbeys and churches were saying, I've got it. I've got the foreskin. I've got the foreskin. So eventually the Pope had to put an edict that all of the evidence led to this abbey by where my in-laws live as being the house of the actual foreskin of Christ. And that was deemed to be the only true relic. So all of these things are very holy, aren't they? Very, very holy. But also traumatic events. Yeah? What's interesting, I felt, because when I'm writing a book, I should be clear. I don't know, I rarely have the oils in front of me when I'm talking to you because it comes from a different place of memory. But when I'm writing, I kind of have to channel or tap into, or, you know, have a different vibration with the essential oil. So the Spikenard was with me all of the time while I was writing it. And there was this amazing sense of faith that everything was going to be all right. That I was being asked to do extraordinary things, thinking back to that original trauma, but that I could do it, and that I was being looked after. Very, very, very deeply religious. Imagine then being the Hebrews, right? And they're going through trying to find the promised land, aren't they? And they're escaping the slavery of Egypt. They've got nothing. They're in the wilderness. And then God says, build me a tabernacle, this huge tent. Make me this altar. Make this anointing oil. Make this incense. Imagine walking into the tabernacle and feeling the difference with this beautiful incense full of these sacred things of myrrh, of galbanum, of spikenard, and just the quietness. You can really see how they would have felt like being they were the chosen ones. When we think of Christ on the cross and how he shouts, Eli, Eli, lima sabachthani, my God, why have you forsaken me? I don't think he does think he's forsaken me. The human thinks he has, but he can still feel the divine. And so can the Marys and the disciples know that something different's going on, even though it seems entirely different from the narrative that they imagined. Simon Peter wanted to march into Jerusalem like soldiers. Completely different. But that sense of faith, that sense of quiet, that sense that God is with you, is Spikenard. Imagine then, in the 1800s, in the slums of Delhi, people screaming in the pain of the griping agony of cholera. The difference when they're given the spikenard to drink the roots, the water, the tea made with the roots, and the griping starts to stop, and the diarrhea starts to ease, you must feel like your prayers have been answered. It's a really sacred, very important oil. It's not to clean the toilet with. I think I've made myself clear. Do please buy the book. I will put all of that on slides for you, and I'll show you the spread now so you can see how to use the Tongue of the Trees cards. We barely mention them as we go, do we? But just want to stress again, you can see here the keyword inner journey. You can see how that would play out, working through the traumas, working through the flashbacks. And then in a moment we'll come back and we'll talk about the safety. I'm going to run through a quick layout for you to show you the different cards. Now, one of the things that we're not going to tell you in this video, in these videos, is the poem that goes with the cards. But for this layout, we will read them to you just so that you get a chance to sort of feel how the different poems look. So I thought I'd show you the cards. As you can see, lovely little box. I'll show you the other side. Boring stuff, except for cool stuff what I read. Okay, so if we open it up, we can see that the cards just have one logo on, and that is because these originally were Gegle's cards. He's been selling these for a long time in Hungary. Mostly they've been bought by kinesiologists, interestingly enough. They've been doing the energy work with them. They haven't got any aromatherapy background, but they've been able to tap into the energetics of the oils to be able to move emotional blockages. So let's show you. So these come out nice and easy because we've got beautiful little ribbons. And let's get rid of that. So if I said to the cards, what energy do I need? What oils will help me do the best job with these videos? Let's have a... Now my friend Belinda used these the other day, and she does have a habit of shuffling them the wrong way. So we'll have to hope that they're all the way right up. I'm not doing a good job of keeping them that way. So let's have a look. What do I need to do a great job? So I think, it's up to you how you do it, but I think cut it 3 ways, cut it back. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So first 3 cards off the top. Cedarwood Virginian. I'll tell you why I'm laughing at that in a minute. Rose and lavender. That's a beautiful blend, isn't it? Reason why I was laughing about a Cedarwood Virginian is when Gegle and I came to do the notes of all the different cards, we both went, oh, we've done these cards for Cedarwood Virginian and I don't really know how to explain them differently. And because I was doing lots of editing work, I went, oh, just leave it. So yesterday I did a meditation with Cedarwood Virginian and got the most beautiful, beautiful work out of it. So you must tap into that tomorrow, have a listen to that video and see it was really different stuff that came out. So let's have a look. So if we go to the book, we can see that there's a brown streak on cedarwood, and that tells us it's the woods. So we find the woods. Slowly but surely we find the woods. At the back. Okay, so I'm going to use the other cards just to cover up the other pages, because you know what? Sooner or later you're going to have to pay me for something. So, Cedarwood Virginian. Actually, I'll show you this, but I'll read it to you because I'm hoping that it doesn't turn back to front on you, but it may well do. So, Cedarwood Virginian says, hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. Hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. Stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. And I'd forgotten, I stopped halfway through because I'd forgotten this is the only one that went like around. It kept repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And that taps in beautifully to the determination, doesn't it? I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. So, and actually, definitely watch the video on Cedarwood, Virginia, because you'll see just how spooky that is when you see the meditation work I did. Now, you'll also see on here at the bottom of the page, there's the energetics. Now, we're not going to talk about these energetics at all in the video. You might want to go and buy our knowledge base. Now, the knowledge base is completely based on this, and it is a set of lessons on each of the aspects. So, middle to base. You're going to hear about that today when Gergely does his blending. So, that's there. It also vibrates on the throat chakra. So, what does that mean? Within the knowledge base, there is a complete set of information about the different chakras. We do as a lecture on each different chakra, how it affects on the emotional body, how it affects the physical body, how it affects the mental and spiritual bodies, and how that's working. So when we're looking at the knowledge base, this information here describes how the energies move through the system. What energy shift has taken place that we are getting these different physical problems and mental issues. So we can see that Cedarwood Virginian operates on the water element and the earth element. And again, in the knowledge base, there's a complete section about, we talk about the about half an hour about the water element, then again about half an hour for the earth element, metal, fire, and whatever the other one is, gone out of my head. And then here we can see Sagittarius. Now, so that tells us that what planetary rulership it comes under. This is medical astrology, and this is actually how I see the different energetics playing out. Some people see it through the Ayurvedic, some people see it through Chinese medicine. This is always the lens I see it through. And usually we'll talk about how it's ruled by the moon or the sun or Saturn and the different trends that we see out. And when we look at an archetype like that, it's like Jade Shoots always says it's like a metaphor, and that's a great analogy of how you can see the thread playing out right across the medicine. And so you can see that Cedarwood Virginian is Sagittarius. So in the knowledge base, we talk about the different signs and planets and also the different houses. If I remember right, Angelica, for example, falls under the Pisces Aries cusp. So that's really quite a difficult one to understand. There's a whole lesson about the Pisces Aries cusp. And then again, Chinese medicine, it nourishes yin. What does that mean? What does it mean? It calms Shen. Shen is an interesting phenomenon all in its own right. It's the consciousness, our mental faculties, our imagination, our emotions, God with a small g, God with a big G. All of those aspects is a complete lesson about Shen and how the essential oils can affect it and change that to move the energy. And then we can see it increases Pitta, reduces Vata, balances Kapha. So it's interesting, actually. I do know at the moment all of my oils tend to come out with earth energy. It's quite interesting hearing me do the earth energy lecture because it's entirely about the challenges I am facing at the moment. But if you are somebody who sells essential oils and you're looking for a way in all of the time, right, you're talking to the person at the school gate, for example, and you can see, you know, she seems a healthy girl, to be honest. She's loving a kid, she seems happy. Imagine somebody who's got a really sing-song voice all the time. Oh, my darling, how did you get on today? Was it lovely? I know. And then child walks off. How are you? To everybody. If that sing-song voice never quite relents, then you can imagine that there's an earth energy imbalance. So any oils that fall under earth energy are good ones to sell. So yeah, if you are interested in learning more about that, ways in, just kind of being able to see, talking to somebody, what might be clues of what's going on of that energetic shift, then head over the knowledge base to have a look at that. So what was our next card? It was Rose, wasn't it? Queen of Roses, as you know. I do love my roses. Let's have a look. So the flowers, I think, are at the front of the book, if I remember rightly. Beautiful pink. Oh, they're both flowers, aren't they? So rose, rose, rose. Damask rose. I was thinking we'd miss Rose out, but it's not under Duff for Rose. It's under, sorry, it's not Rough for Rose. It's Duff for Damask rose. I remember writing this one, actually. This is quite sad. So it says, standing by your graveside or sobbing into your pillow. I know your pain. On the days when you feel lonely, worried or sad, I know your pain. Through the nights where sleep seems far away and you feel like you might break, amidst the anger, the confusion and desolation, I feel your pain. For I was there, remember? When you smelled the roses of their love as your fingertips stroked my petals and tried to avoid the prick of thorn. I felt your hopes, your fears, your joy of deep connection. I ensnared it in my scent to help conjure that affection. In my fragrance, remember hope. Let my aroma you complete. May scent of celebration heal you, calm you and help you sleep. For through me you are never alone, always loved and open to give and receive more. Smell me, open up and feel safe to feel love once more. Now I anticipate that these will be different for everybody, but that's entirely my dad talking to me. I feel quite choked up reading that, actually. When he died, he gave me a rose bush. My cousin works for a rose bush company, David Austin Roses. I'm sure you've heard of them. He's quite a senior manager there, and Dad arranged for a rose called Noble Anthony to be given to me and my sisters at the funeral. So I go and sit and talk to the rose bush. That's a great reminder that my dad's with me today. So that actually, Dad, that really helps. Thank you. So let's have a look at the energetics. We can see middle heart chakra, obviously. Water. Now, again, as I say, in the knowledge base, there is a much bigger lecture on water, but the energy of water is how it can flow around any obstacle and find a way to fill the space. So that's great. That's lovely. And Venus is obviously the planet of love, but there's lots more to do with beauty and and money. Actually, there's an interesting lecture on Venus. I like talking about Venus. Balance is Vata, Pitta and Kapha. If you don't know, Vata is very drying, Pitta is hot and fiery and moist, and Kapha is sluggish. So it brings it all into alignment. But in the knowledge base, as I say, different lectures on each of those. So it nourishes the blood. Well, I've got funny blood, actually, so that's useful to know, Dad. Thank you. Yin and essence. So yin is the feminine aspect. It's very gentle and passive and receptive, and it harmonizes the heart and Shen. We just talked about Shen. So we're going to put all these in a blend in a minute. And so last but not least, the cards have told me that I should go for lavender, which I guess is probably just over the page. Still in the pinks, as you can see. Oh, I remember this one too. Cover them up, cover them up. Can you see? There we go. Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. When you breathe me, dilly dilly, softly you dream. Anger and grief, dilly dilly, softly drift by. Worries and hurts, dilly dilly, kiss them goodbye. When you feel tense, dilly dilly, look for the bees. See how they buzz, dilly dilly, resting with ease. Learn from their hum, dilly dilly, for they all know. Learning to rest, dilly dilly, helps you to grow. Breathe in the scent, dilly dilly, lavender's light. Calm your stressed mind, honey, honey, surrender the fight. Release cares and worries, dilly dilly, I help you to see. Life is so good, dilly dilly, just let it be. Okay, I'm going to let them flow, not force them. This helps, this really helps, you know. I've got to tell you, when I was helping Gergley do this, he was sending me his notes, and every time they came across it, I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to do the cards. These are really hard. Didn't like my poems at all. Really found them difficult to do, and really I just wanted to be writing my Melissa book, which I kind of still do, but I'm feeling a bit happier. Now I've got the cards in my hands and I can see them, because they really help. Honestly, they really, really help. So, and of course I might be biased because it's my words talking back to me, but hearing the plant and seeing it written down, it's very, very helpful. So, actually I've probably skipped the most valuable part of the process for speed. But when you turn out your cards, if you have got the oils, I would sit and breathe the oil as you read the poem. And that's very difficult to do on this camera like this, but because then you will really hear, you'll have that connection with the plant. It will open it up to you. So top to middle note, as I say, Gergley's going to talk to us about the blending. Water, we've just talked about how that finds ways, effortlessly finds gaps to do things, doesn't force it, just gets around any obstacle. Heart chakra again. Mercury, communication, data, information. Yeah, that's very mercurial medicine. We'll talk about that. And there's a very interesting lecture about Mercury. I originally wrote the Mercury ropes for the pain practitioner program. And so these are quite detailed lectures, about half an hour long, the medical astrology ones, because of course that's my passion. Neutral to cool is the action. Yeah, cooling like the roses. Activates chi. Now again, we'll talk about chi in the knowledge base, but basically it's the life force. You know how we said we talked about Shen? Well, if Shen doesn't have adequate chi forcing it through, then it becomes disrupted. And I always think about it feeling like you're treading water. So the activation of chi calms Shen, or nourishes Shen, or raises Shen, depending on which essential oil it is. It aggravates Vata. So yes, this is one of my favourite nags. So the world tells you to put lavender essential oil into every massage oil, into your moisturiser, into your bath. So it aggravates Vata. People, it will dry you out. That is how you get dry skin. Aggravates Vata, makes you a bit vapid, a bit dreamy. So all of the time you're like, you know, like the dreamers that wander around on a cloud. If you're not careful, too much lavender makes you that. Pacifies kapha, so it stops you feeling sluggish, stops you feeling heavy. It's not really directly indicated for constipation, but that shift of energy through kapha would release not only constipation, but congestion in the sinuses. And pacifies pitta. Well, pitta is hot, so it's calming. It reduces inflammation. Anything that's red, hot, angry, it'll calm it down. So there we go. So first, I've got my smelly stick. And really, this is only because then I can stick it down my top and you won't be able to see it. Absolutely. We could use aroma pendants, we could use massage oil, sniffy sticks, whatever. This is just what works for me, and that's the most important thing, that it's the thing that works for you. So cedarwood Virginian is a fast oil, if I remember rightly, so this is quite a thin distillation. Ooh. And then we'll mop up everything off the table. Dip it up, wipe it up. Oh, it's so beautiful, it's smoky. It's beautiful, and I can tell you the lecture is about tapping into your ancestral line, and given that my ancestral line is full of wizards and witches, that's very helpful. Lots of plant healers coming to my aid. So a bit of lavender. Warm the bottle. You'll notice I cover the thing. It's not because I'm covering the labels, although it's because I can't be bothered going, don't ask me which oils I use, but it's more because it's very cold in this shed, so things get stiff, especially myrrh. Goodness me, when we come to do the myrrh video, I have to warm it up 3 weeks before. And then beautiful, beautiful rose. Look at the colour of that, beautiful. It's my favourite bit, you know, was it waiting for it to come out, just seeing the colour. Have I got the nerve to let it drop? I have. Go on, mix, 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 blend. You know, whenever I try and do videos, I always want to have the image of oils mixing, and it never quite, nobody ever quite videos that effectively. I think it would be beautiful. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that is sheer heaven. Just beautiful. So yeah, if you obviously want to buy the cards, there's a link underneath that tells you where to get them from. But also, if you want to use the knowledge base, there's a link through to that too. And goodness me, when you start to smell that and you feel all the knowledge base opening up, all the different shifts in the body and how they move and how they're executing through the physical body, it's really extraordinary. It's a whole new layer to plant medicine. So there we go. That is how to do the blending. Can't wait for you to watch Gerglo talk about proper blending in a minute. Safety then. As you can imagine, a very, very gentle oil. Maximum dilution is 3%. Do we feel that we really need to be going 3% when we can go lower? I don't think I need to get back on the soapbox. Yes, it's safe for children. Why would we use it for children? If they've got chronic diarrhea, if they've had a terrible trauma, I'd still go myrtle. You know, be selective. Feel the what's not there, what's not, you know, read between the lines, feel the connections with the cosmos out there. Does it feel like it's serious enough? Take your ego out of it. Safety, very safe for children, as I say. Safe during pregnancy, but after 16 weeks, again, feel like I'm repeating myself. Monarda, Neroli, Spikenard, again, all oils that I would trust if need be in the earlier days of pregnancy. But why would you? So yeah, for the most part, after 16 weeks. Is it safe for dogs and cats? It is. And if the only situation where I would ever use the Spikenard on a creature is bonfire night. It's that kind of vibration. So let's go and see what Gerglo has to say about blending it, because it's one of those oils, I perhaps should have said at the beginning, they don't smell great. Not on its own, but blended. In fact, my favourite blend with Spikenard won't be seen here because it doesn't show in the cards, but Spikenard and spearmint, delicious. But let's see what Gecko has to say about blending it.
Hello, this is Gergely, and this is my Spikenard blending video for our Spikenard video 2 on our Tongue of the Trees video channel. And then first of all, let me start with the illustration. Spikenard. I love this little, purpley with this little plant with purplish flowers, and actually, so the name is in Latin is Nardostachys yatamansi, and I think this was one of the most difficult Latin names that I needed to memorize when I was studying aromatherapy, and I was sleeping with it, and I was dreaming with it, and finally I can actually say it without reading, Nardostachys yatamansi. And our keyword for that is inner journey. And when we were coming up with the keywords, when I was coming up with the keywords, I was consistently going for this keyword. And even when we were talking about, making the English version with Liz, I was sort of insisting to have this keyword because I really think that this magical essential oil helps you to travel in time and space. Well, that might sound a little bit strange, but I'm going to read you a little excerpt from Liz's book, because she has, among the so many books that she has written, one is Spikenard, and she asked me, amongst other aromatherapists, to write a little bit of a review, or rather write a couple of words about Spikenard, what it means to me as an essential oil, and as an aromatherapist using this essential oil. So I'm going to read that. One paragraph, of obviously not the whole copy. So when I'm talking about spikenard, I definitely have to say that this plant belongs to the same family as valerian belongs to. And the essential oil is extracted from the roots, and rather to say the rhizomes, not the roots. It's a little bit different, but definitely something of, the part of the plant that is underground. And then I'm sure that Liz is talking a lot about all sorts of metaphysical aspects, physical aspects, and everything else. So I'm here to talk about blending. So I'm not going to touch base on what it means, but it's definitely a grounding oil for me. So as I said, that we use the roots or the rhizomes rather for the essential oil production, which is done by steam distillation. And this particular plant is, according to the UN Red List, is a critically endangered species, and it's really an oil that is sought after much, and it is quite an expensive oil. And please be prudent and use it sparingly, because it's a critically endangered species. So use as much as you need, not too much. Don't stock up on it, because after all, we want to save this species as well. So where does it come from? It typically comes from the Himalayas. Well, from different countries you can get it, typically it's from Nepal, but also you can find it on the Indian sides of the Himalaya. You can find it in Bhutan, you can find it in Tibet, and also you can find it in China. Now, when we are talking about the notes, spikenard is definitely a base note. It's definitely a base note, and it's a very powerful base note. Now, if I want to describe the aroma, and I have to look at my list on my computer because I have so many words to describe this essential oil. So first of all, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's woody, definitely resinous, and it really resembles a little bit like valerian. It's a very complex aroma. It has notes green, mossy, slightly woody and earthy, with musky overtones, let's say, and also has nuances that are reminiscent again of valerian. If you have ever tried valerian essential oil, what does it blend well with? It definitely blends well with lemon. Not so much of the citruses, but lemon is great. You can try maybe lime, but definitely lemon's fine. Some of the florals like lavender and lavender. It blends beautiful with neroli, also with clary sage, and some of the woodies like it's not a woody actually, it's a fruity, but it is counted as a woody sometimes as juniper, or the other rooties like vetiver, and also it blends well with patchouli, and some of the spices like coriander, clove, nutmeg, maybe cinnamon, and definitely with frankincense and myrrh. That gives you a lot of options, right? Blend with spikenard. Well, if you look at not just the complex aroma, but the chemistry is also very complex with spikenard. Some of them I list from my computer is like beta-glucuronine, alpha-patchoulin, aristotelonin, and patchouli alcohol, and many other chemical components. It's a very, very complex aroma. It's just maybe not as complex as vetiver, but it is definitely a very round and full of, just full of goodies. Now, it is a deeply relaxing oil, and I must tell you that some people experience weird dreams after smelling spikenard, which also happened to me and a couple of my friends. When they smelled it, they say this is something that you really don't smell every day. I wouldn't call it peculiar because that is not necessarily a positive experience, but a very unique smell, something that some people have never experienced before. So when you're blending with that, it's a little bit of a challenge, I must say. So about safety, it seems to be it's an okay oil, not for the sensitized. No, it's not a phototoxic oil, and it's pretty much safe to use on the skin, and maybe avoids in the first 16 weeks of pregnancy, as with most of the essential oils. But otherwise, it is a very grounding and relaxing oil. So you can actually blend it in many different recipes where you need grounding or relaxation, or even trauma. It's a really great trauma oil. Not that trauma is great, but it's a great oil for treating trauma, right? Okay, so up to the point when I want to read you this little excerpt from the copy that I had written for Liz's Spikenard book, which I highly recommend you to read because it's a great book, stuff with so many historical references, cultural references, and great therapeutic properties and all sorts of like recipes and everything. It's just a great book. So get it. You can get it on Amazon. All right. So this is what a little piece of what I've written for Liz on spikenard. Nard has a captivating aroma, almost pinning me to earth, grounding yet wisely elevating spiritually. It immediately rings tones of throat singing in my ears. Mongolian throat singing is something which tells us so much about one's inner voice, manifested through the vocal cords emerging from deep down the lungs. And indeed, when I inhale the spikenard oil, it goes down deep. No, not the deep hyssop would go. It doesn't stop the farthest niche of the lungs, but goes deeper, down to my legs and further. like roots. So the more I smell the oil, the more the singing goes on with the resonating glottal voice. And I think that's the end of my blending video, because it tells everything about this really special oil, Spikenard. If you like this video, come back for the other ones. I'll see you next time. And until that, don't forget, happy blending.
And so there we have it. And have you noticed how I've gone very quiet? I can't be bubbly talking about that oil. I feel like I'll go creep into the church. And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just I've got the vibration of the oil with me. It's very weird. I'm weird, I think. Probably rather than the oils, I'm weird. Anyway, reminding you that we've talked about the physical medicine. If I remember rightly, we had in the recipe hub recipes for dysentery, alopecia, that kind of thing. You can check back. But metaphysical ones, we have an aroma pendant for profound anxiety. We have a post-terror bath oil. We have a nightmares cream. And we have an aroma pendant recipe to help you retain your faith in God. Can you feel the traumas that those would be for? So just to remind you that if you decide to sign up to the Recipe Hub, it's £5.99 a month, and you will have access to all of these recipes and more. Nearly 400 recipes in there now, where we look at not only the oils but contraindications with other medicines, with other conditions, blended to the right dilution, and with oils that have similar attributes to create a synergistic effect. Also, if you would like to get your own copies of the Tongue of the Trees cards, the link is below us. Have a mooch, have a look around all the different things that we've got available from these cards. Many different products have sprung. So there we have it. That is what is Spikenard essential oil good for. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a comment and like and subscribe and share. See you soon.
You get your phone, you turn it this way up, and then there's a little red subscribe button. Turn it grey by clicking it, and then there's a little bell. Click that and press all at the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer. It'll say you will receive all notifications, and then there's a little hand with a thumbs up. Click that, it'll turn it blue and it says added to your liked videos, and there will be comments, and if you want to, you can send a comment and say like hi's to Mum and Gaggai, and then the link to the next video will be in the description below underneath the video. So bye.